USB is one of the most abundant cable connection standards. USB ports are built into everything from desktops, laptops, and it's even making its way into mobile tablets and smartphones. This cable can be used for charging and powering mobile devices and connecting external accessories. And you figured they would want to make it easy to use and understand. Ha! That definitely didn't happen. USB stands for Universal Serial Bus, and it's developed by the USB Implementers Forum, a group of member companies who create this universal standard. Some big name members include Apple, Microsoft, HP, and Intel. So with that out of the way, let's take a closer look at USB. USB is categorized using two different schemes. A letter is assigned to specify the shape of the connection, and a version number specifies the speed of the connection. I'm going to start off by running through the different shapes. You're probably used to seeing this first one, the rectangular USB Type A. It's been on every computer and the opposite side of almost every USB cable for the last 20 years. Up next is USB Type B. You'll probably find this USB port on larger peripherals such as printers and scanners, and some USB hubs. USB Type B does not stop there. There are two subsizes, Mini Type B and Micro Type B. Mini USB used to be found on smaller peripherals such as cameras. Micro USB's super small form factor makes it great for almost every portable device. You can find micro USB on devices like Android smartphones, chargers, e-readers, and almost every other portable device. What do USB A and USB B have in common? They are both massive. In an age when everything is trying to shrink, so is USB. USB Type-C is here to replace all previous forms of USB. Its compact size makes it easy to fit in any smartphone, laptop, or desktop, and it's even reversible so you don't have to worry about flipping the connector the right way. It truly is the cable to replace all cables. Before we move into the different versions of USB, here's one thing you need to know. I'll be using megabytes, megabits, gigabytes, and gigabits per second to rate the speeds of each version of USB. I don't want to get too far into the technical mumbo jumbo, so here are the basics. The higher the megabytes, gigabytes, etc. per second, the faster data can move between your devices. In most cases, this doesn't really matter since it'll all be happening in the background, unless you don't like waiting for your laptop to back up or waiting for a large file to copy to your thumb drive. Now, we turn to the 4 iterations of the USB standard, starting with version 1 released in 1996. Version 1.0 could transfer data at 1.5 megabytes per second at full speed. Version 2 released in 2000 can transfer data at 60 megabytes per second. Version 2 is unfortunately still quite common today, but mostly due to technical restrictions. These 3 iterations of USB 3 brought speed improvements and more confusion. Version 3 can transfer data at 625 megabytes per second, version 3.1 at 1.2 gigabytes per second, and version 3.2 at 2.4 gigabytes per second. To make things worse, the USB group has rebranded each edition of version 3 multiple times, but I am not going to get into all that. With version 3, the ports got a bit of an upgrade. Version 3 can typically be identified by a blue port and/or connector. USB Type B was also redesigned with the version 3 update. Micro USB has an added compartment to the left, while standard USB Type B has an added notch to the top. Before moving on to USB 4, we need to talk about Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt is a competing cable standard developed and licensed by Intel. All Thunderbolt accessories and cables must follow Intel's directions for developing Thunderbolt technology. To access those directions, manufacturers must pay Intel a licensing fee. For this reason, Thunderbolt is typically confined to higher-end devices. So far, there have been 4 iterations of Thunderbolt. However, the important additions to highlight in regards to USB are Thunderbolt's version 3 and 4, both of which use the USB Type-C styled connector. Both Thunderbolts version 3 and 4 can transfer data at 5 gigabytes per second, which is a lot faster than USB 3's 2.4 gigabytes per second. So telling the difference between a USB and Thunderbolt port may be difficult, so I'm going to try to simplify things. If you see a USB-C styled port, it can be either USB or USB and Thunderbolt. A USB port may support Thunderbolt, but all Thunderbolt ports support USB. You can also identify the difference by looking for a lightning bolt representing Thunderbolt and two twisting arrows symbolizing USB. If there are no identifying symbols, you can try looking it up online. To make USB 4, Intel generously donated the Thunderbolt 3 specification to the USB Alliance. With USB version 4, you can now transfer data at up to 5 gigabytes per second, like its Thunderbolt equivalent. This edition also rebrands ports that previously supported both USB and Thunderbolt 3 to USB 4. With Intel out of the picture, there are also no more licensing fees, making it more attainable for lower-end computers. USB 4, built into USB Type-C, is the ultimate cable connection. USB Type-C is perfect for the thinnest laptops and the smallest smartphones, while USB version 4 allows you to connect anything to your USB Type-C port through adapters. Its possibilities are truly endless. With all that out of the way, here's a graph comparing the data transfer speeds of USB versions 1 to the latest version 4. So let's do a quick summary. There are 3 different USB shapes, 4 different versions, and a competing standard that ties into USB. That's a lot to remember. Luckily, USB is forwards and backwards compatible, so as long as it fits, it will most likely work. Was that too much for you? Because that was just stressful for me. You figured tech companies would want to make this as easy as possible. After all, they are dumping millions into marketing. Either way, USB is here to stay. Now, whether it goes through any other major transitions, we'll have to wait and see. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe and share with someone you know who also thinks that USB is confusing. You can find more info about USB through the links in the description. Also down there is a link to our Patreon page and social media pages. We greatly appreciate your support. Once again, thank you so much for watching and see you next week.